If you're working a 9 to 5 but want to get into property investing in 2025, this video will show you the simplest way to get started, even if you're a complete beginner. Trust me, I once was there as well. And I know what it's like at the start, having limited time, not really knowing what to do, and the fear of failing is very, very common. But with some of the steps I'm about to show you now, it's pretty much just going to iron out everything for you so that you don't have to do things in a roundabout, difficult way like I did when I first started my journey. So I'm actually going to start by mapping out the pain points and the difficulties typically that you face, that I faced as well at the start. Lack of time. This is a common one, especially those of you juggling 9 to 5 work, or if you just have a crazy business that requires a lot of your time and effort. Ultimately, you're not really going to have that much time to put into a pursuit like investing in property. Then the next we have is pretty much like the fear of failure, not knowing what to do, how to go about investing. And then last but not least is pretty much just not knowing where to start. This is the most common thing that you're going to see beginners struggle with. So in relation to this first point here, lack of time, the main way people waste time at the start, I know because I did it myself, is by trying to find out all of the different information by yourself. I was scouring the internet trying to find like the best strategy, this, that, and whatever. And that, in essence, wastes a lot of the time that, much rather spend doing what you need to do, committed to your job, etc. So in relation to this, the easiest way to overcome it is simply by investing in a mentor that's done exactly what you're looking to do, so that they could give you a roadmap that you can pretty much follow step by step. And this indirectly addresses this pain point here of not knowing where to start, because they're going to give you a clear guide of how to get from A to Z. And then finally, with the fear of failure and risk, this is pretty much mitigated by being shown a proven roadmap and step that you can follow in order to get to the desired outcome. So in this case, what I would do if, I was still in 9 to 5 work, wanting to segue into property investment, is learning how to raise funds. This is a key skill that the majority of people forego, either because they don't think that they can do it, or they pretty much just think it's a myth. I would have done this from day one, because it would have meant that all of the money that I'd spent in that first deal, I pretty much could have kept and then utilize someone else's money in order to execute the deal at hand. So this is the very first thing that I would do. And it literally starts by utilizing your existing network and reaching out to the people that you already know. So that's step one. The next is learning how to identify good deals. This term is subjective and dependent on the strategy that you're focusing on. But for me, and for the majority of you guys as well that are looking to break into property investing full time so that you can leave whatever it is that you're currently doing, in this case 9 to 5 work, good deals would pretty much be those that allow you to generate a good amount of cash flow each and every month. But remember, the goal is always ownership as well. And that leaves us with a couple of different strategies, such as HMOs, which is what I've been knuckling down on at the minute, as well as serviced accommodation. Now, when I talk about serviced accommodation, I don't mean in the rent-to-rent form that, the majority of people do it in, because that ultimately leaves us liable for, let's say if a landlord changes his mind or they decide to sell, it's out of your hands. But when you own the asset, you have control over what you want to do with it each and every month. So these are the two strategies that I've been focusing on at the minute. And the reason why is because each HMO conversion typically will allow you to cash flow anywhere from around £900 plus per month. And the same with serviced accommodation. You're looking at upwards of £1,000 cash flow per month. So if you think about trying to typically replace your average salary, you'd only need a few of these, 2, 3, maybe even 4, in order to fully replace your current income. And that's why these are the strategies that I decide to execute on. Now that I've given you guys the framework of how it all works, I'm going to break it down with actual numbers to make it more clear in your minds. Let's say you're earning £3,000 per month. Now the average HMO deal is going to cash flow around about £1,000 per month. And typically this will take around 6 months to execute. So by doing this literally 2 or 3 times, that will ultimately replace the income here. But the superpower that people fail to understand is that for you to be able to take on these types of deals, you ultimately need to become good at learning how to raise money, which is a very high level skill, and then learning how to find and identify good deals. And that's why I never really advise people to specifically become a deal source or specifically learn deal sourcing, because if you learn how to take on your own deals, let's say you find a good number of deals each and every month, rather than deciding to take it on, you could then just decide to sell 1 or 2 here and there as well. So you're ultimately killing 2 birds with 1 stone by, learning the skills to take on your own stuff, but then also selling one every now and then if needs be. And this will ultimately allow you to replace your income at the top. So as a summary and in a nutshell, the steps that you need to take in order to get started is 1, ideally investing in some type of education or a mentor. Then 2, learning the landscape of 1, raising funds, and 2, finding good deals so that you could take on these opportunities for yourself, and then if need be, sell a couple of deals as well. And then ultimately it's just executing it in a way where you don't have to directly be involved by leveraging people like project managers, etc. And then it will only be a matter of time before you can ultimately leave your 9 to 5 and go full time in property investing. But if you are still a bit lost and think that you need some help getting started, click the link below to join my community, and I can ultimately help guide you through the same journey that got me started.